Hi, Dr. Steve Day here, and in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how to manage a remote team and delegate your tasks effectively, how to avoid pushback when you ask your team to document what they do each day, and how to actually get them to quickly create your operation manuals for you so they can actually delegate their work out, elevate themselves up, and become more valuable members of your team. What follows is the recording of the answers I gave to 3 questions that were posed to me during a recent Q&A on these topics.
So the question is this: how do entrepreneurs like us, who don't have an endless supply of cash, how do we leverage the best apps, virtual assistants, automation tools, and systems to scale our businesses, increase our profits, and have more time to do what we love to do each day? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. My name's Dr. Steve Day, and this is Systemize Your Success.
First question is from Mark. Hi, Mark. What do you find is the best system to use for task management with a VA? Okay, so really good question, and something that if you get this wrong, it can be a bit of a nightmare when you're working with anybody, in fact, as a team, whether even just a business partner. But when you're working with people remotely, especially when they're in different time zones or they are like on the other side of the world, for example, then actually having a really good task management system in place can be the difference between you being totally overwhelmed and totally in chaos, feeling out of control about, not really knowing what people are doing, what they're working on, what they're prioritizing, about actually not having any visibility about what your whole team is working towards. So that's the sort of what you're trying to avoid. And that's where I came from to where I'm at now, which I have total visibility about what everyone's working on at any one time by simply looking at what they're doing in their task management app. So the task management app that I recommend is Asana. Now, if you're using Monday.com, if you're using Trello, if you're using ClickUp, it really doesn't matter the app you're using. However, what I like about Asana is that the free version is brilliant, which is one of the reasons we use it in our coaching program. So people can come in and use it with a team of up to 15 people and have unlimited number of guests as well. So just to clarify, a team member is someone that has sort of admin rights to be able to make changes to like custom fields and things like that. Whereas a guest is just someone who can view an action and comment things. So you can have most of your team as guests anyway, and they can still actually function in your business, but they don't have the same control over everything. So Asana is the cheapest by far, especially when you're just growing, because the free version, so it's pretty cheap, free, allows you to build that team, get to grips with it, start using it without having to pay. Now, most of the other apps, to get the same level of functionality that you get for free in Asana, charge you. And you can end up having to pay for licenses for all of your users. So if you've got temporary workers coming in and semi-permanent staff and things, then it can get quite expensive quite quickly. So you just need to be careful of that when you're choosing your app. But ultimately, really going down to basics, what you need for task management is a task board. So task board, the term is the Kanban style board. It's basically, if you imagine a whiteboard with 4 columns on, this is the simplest version, whiteboard with 4 columns. You have a pending, a priorities, a in progress, and a done. Anything that's sort of on the back burner that's going to be done next, you put it in the pending column. Anything that should be prioritized to be done, the next task is the most important things in the priorities. What they're working on right now goes in the in progress column, so you can see at a glance what someone's actually doing this moment in time. And then when they finished it, they move it into done, so you can see, okay, now I either need to review that and sign it off, or if it's done, it's done. Sometimes you don't need to review everything. So at a very simple level, that is all you need for task management. Don't overcomplicate it to get started. If you want to go into the depths of things, and that's the sort of stuff we coach on, about creating or getting the most out of task management apps, about organizing yourself, organizing your projects, about scaling your team, about using them efficiently. And of course, there's loads you can learn. You can either go deep dive into YouTube and go all that yourself, or you can work with someone like myself or some other business coach who specifically can help you with actually setting up your task management app in the right way. So that is at the basic level how we do our task management. One really important thing, Mark, and then I'm just going to move on because there's more questions coming in, is the key thing here is to avoid using emails or instant messaging for assigning or talking about any ongoing task or project. And the reason for that is because if you start emailing or instant messaging to one person, you can't then very easily share that with other people who you bring in. It also makes it very difficult to see the threads of conversations going back, because you may ping them a message in Facebook, then in WhatsApp, or maybe in Slack, and then maybe an email. And so trying to join that all together to get a coherent history of what's been said and what's been done or not done is very, very difficult. When you're using a task management app, like Asana, but whichever one, when you have a task assigned on there, so you create a little, like a post-it note on your go back to the whiteboard analogy, you have a post-it note with a task name on it and you put it into the in progress column, then you actually comment on that task for everything that's going on. It make attachments on there, you can bring other people in so they can view everything. And that means you've got a nice clean thread of everything that's being talked about that specific task. And that makes it really easy to manage on a day-to-day basis, but also to go back and see, okay, what was said, when was it said, who said it, who made the changes to it, when were things delivered, and then comments and things are all tracked in one place. So that is that's basically how you do task management on a simple level. Hi Steve, how do I ask my VA to record what she does so I have a copy if she leaves and not make her feel like I'm going to get rid of her? Okay, brilliant. So this is a incredibly important part of protecting your business. So it's a really, really good question to ask, and how you approach it, as you've identified, is important, because you don't want to make them think that you're going to get rid of them, and that's the reason you're getting to record their work. But you've got to look at this from the business point of view. If knowledge is in somebody's head and not documented outside of their own knowledge, it isn't knowledge that's part of the business. It's not an asset to the business. And so therefore, that person is now a liability. If they leave, their knowledge goes with them. And so part of the terms of engagement with anyone that works with you on a contractual basis, on a freelancer basis, or on a permanent, whether that's a permanent VA or actually a proper sort of employee, so to speak, is that they have to document everything they do in order to put that knowledge back into the pool of the business. It just needs to be a policy you have. It's one of the values of your company. It's about thinking of the company over the individual. And that needs to be something that people that you hire and bring into the company understand and embrace. So at a higher level, that's the culture that you have to instill into everyone that works in the company. And if somebody isn't okay with that, then they're not a good fit for your company, because they are holding on to knowledge, which is actually the value that you have in your business. If you let that value go, you lose it. So if you want to approach this with somebody who's already working with you, and you want to avoid, like you said, making them feel like, oh, maybe they're just getting me to do this, so I don't not need it anymore, you can approach it in a few ways. First of all, if this person ever wants to go on holiday, then they're going to have to be able to hand that work over to somebody else. And you as the business owner don't want to have to pay them to train somebody else so they can go on holiday and have time off. The alternative is they go on holiday, they come back, and all the work they were doing when they were meant to be doing is now piled up. So now they've got a much higher stress level because they're now coming back to a massive mountain of work because they've got to catch up with it. So somebody can help them while they're away, which means they come back to a much more clean and nice and productive way of sort of day on their first day back. So that's one way of selling it. The second way of selling it is to say, and just on that note, so if the person is responsible and they actually care about their work, they won't want that to happen. They won't want things just to grind to a halt while they're away. So they may actually worry about that. They may take shorter holidays because they're worried that their work's not going to get done when they're away. They may be less inclined to book time off for the same reasons. So you can empower them to think about it from a point of view of it gives them freedom for the choice of them having to be in work for any reason, so being sick or taking time off with family or support, or actually taking holidays. So that's one way. Another way of looking at it is to say, look, you are currently at this level in the business. So say you've got somebody at an assistant level and they're basically just doing the work you throw at them, but you really need them to document their stuff. So you can say, look, if all you want in life is to be doing like the same old tasks every single day and never, improve yourself, never progress in the company, never get a pay rise, never actually become grow as a person and become a manager, or actually get higher level tasks, then that's fine. Then maybe they're going to argue against documenting stuff to a point. You shouldn't allow them to shouldn't accept that argument, but they may argue or push back. However, if you present it to say, look, if you don't document what you're doing right now, there's no way you will ever stop doing it. So your job forever is what you're doing right now. However, if you can say, look, some of the stuff you're doing now is quite low value stuff. You've been with the company now for 3 months, 6 months, a year. I need you to step up. You're going to get rewarded if you step up and become a more productive member of the team, because we need to free up your time to do higher value tasks because now you're experienced. And the way we do that is for you to document what you're currently doing to allow other people to take up some of the slack. And that may be to take away tasks that you don't particularly like doing, some of the mundane, the repetitive stuff. And so therefore you can sell it to them in that respect as well, that by doing this, it gives you the opportunity to be able to promote them. And without the systems in place to replace them, or to get somebody else to come in to replace them through the operation manuals and the videos that they'll create, they're stuck where they are. So that's another way to sort of flip it back and sell it as a positive to that person as well. How do I ask how best for my VA to record what she is doing, just so I have copies if she leaves? So that's a slightly different spin on the same question. So now we're going to look at how you actually do this, because what you need is for them to not just record what they're doing, but to include all the information that the person who's going to be taking over that task, all the information that they need to be able to complete that task from start to finish without anyone's involvement, and to be delivering the correct work at the correct time to the correct place every single time. And that is there's just a method to doing that. So I got the Didact method, and the Didact stands for what is the description of the task. So the overall description, and also the intention. So why is it being done? What are the inputs for the task? So what, for example, are there any templates that are needed for this? And also what are the variables? So if you're, say, setting up a Facebook event like this, so when I assign the task to Mika to set up this Facebook event, which she does every week, she has to change the date. She may be a whole different event, so she has to change the cover image and the title and the description, etc., etc. But the task of setting up a Facebook event is the same each time. It's the inputs that change. So you need to know what inputs are every time a task is done. You then have the deliverables. So what is going to be produced at the end, and where should that be delivered? So could be setting up a Facebook event, but I may also want to know that this has been done. So I don't have to log into my account to say, go to the events and then check everything over. So I could just get my virtual assistant to take a little screenshot and then ping it over to me in my chosen messenger or in Asana, or comment on the task with it, ideally. So then you can just basically have a look. Yeah, it's all set up correctly. I don't need to log in anything. I've got that screenshot. I've checked it. So that's the deliverables. You then got the access. So the A, access. And that is all about what permissions they need, and also what logins are required to be able to complete the task from start to finish. You then got the C in Didact, which is checks. So what can they do to check their work is correct before they hand it into you? And then lastly, you've got time. How long is this task going to take? And the key question here, or the key statement here, is if this is taking longer than 5 minutes, X amount of time, check in with me, because it's likely that I've not explained it well enough and I might need to clarify something, so you don't waste your time or mine. So that's basically the Didact method or framework that I've developed, and that's what we share with our clients. It's what we use every day. It's how you can record and outsource any task in 2 minutes. If you want to get your own copy of the Didact framework for free, simply go to bit.ly/sys-006 and you can download that for free. That's bit.ly/sys-006, all lowercase. And then you can get, as I say, a copy of the Didact framework that you can use in your business and share with your staff, so you and they can record any task in 2 minutes and get it outsourced effectively. You'll also find a link to the framework in the show notes for this episode.
Thank you so much for joining me and listening to this episode. I'm well aware there are hundreds of great business podcasts out there, and you chose to listen to this one, and for that I am truly grateful. Hopefully what you heard today took you one step closer to building a successful business so you can share your passion with the world and serve an ever-growing number of people. If you got value out of today's episode, then so will someone else you know. By sharing with others what has helped you along your way, you will grow your influence and be the guy or girl that everybody wants to know. So please hit the share button right now, and also remember to subscribe to this podcast so you don't miss future episodes. It's impossible for me to cover absolutely everything in these podcasts, so please do head over to systemizeyoursuccess.com right now and download the show notes, transcriptions, and some of my best frameworks and systems for free. Thanks again for tuning in and being a part of this amazing community. Until next time, this is Dr. Steve Day, and you've been listening to Systemize Your Success.